Ever experienced something inexplicable on an otherwise ordinary day? Picture this, an autumn day, dawning with the soft glow of a lamp, casting a gentle orange hue that paints the room in shades of serenity. As I lay cocooned in the comfort of my sheets, the world outside was cradling the seasonal shift. The air, crisp and cool, carried the scent of fallen leaves, and the atmosphere was tranquil, or so it seemed. It was in this stillness that I was drifting into a peaceful slumber, when the ease and calm shattered. There was a persistent knocking on my door. At first I chose to ignore it, but the relentless pounding escalated, and the door trembled under the pressure. A sense of unease began to creep over me, like the slow crawl of a spider on a web, a premonition of the unusual events that were about to unfold. Fear gripped me as I watched the door handle moving up and down, the rhythmic motion a harbinger of the inexplicable. Petrified, I questioned the reality of the situation. It was like being in a suspenseful movie, where the protagonist is unaware of the plot's twist, and the audience is holding their breath. Abruptly, the handle turned down, and the door creaked open. At this point, my heart was pounding in my chest. The room was turning into a stage for an eerie performance. Why was this happening on an otherwise unremarkable autumn day? The question echoed in my mind, bouncing off the walls of my thoughts, reverberating with the uncertainty of the situation. Little did I know that this was just the beginning of a series of inexplicable events that would leave me questioning the very fabric of reality. As the door creaked open, an indistinct figure materialized, disrupting the tranquility that had once filled the room. This wasn't any average silhouette, but a peculiar shape that seemed to defy the laws of physics as we know them. An arm extended from the figure, its fist clenched in an unsettling display, and it moved with a rhythm that was neither crawling nor sneaking. It was a motion that was eerily reminiscent of a worm's undulation, a sight that would send chills down the spine of the most hardened observer. The figure's advance was slow, deliberate, and utterly terrifying. As it moved closer, the room seemed to shrink, the walls closing in, and the air growing heavier with each passing moment. It was a dance of fear and anticipation, a macabre ballet performed in the dim light of the room. The figure's clenched fist inched towards my bed. It was a sight that was both fascinating and horrifying. The fist moved as if it had a mind of its own, seeming to anticipate my every move. Each time I tried to shield myself, it would intercept, almost as if it were playing a twisted game of cat and mouse. The atmosphere was thick with tension and fear. It was a scene straight out of the most chilling of horror movies, yet it was happening right here, in my very room. The figure and I were locked in this bizarre dance, each of us anticipating the other's next move. The minutes stretched on, each second ticking by with agonizing slowness, and then, just as abruptly as it had begun, the dance ended. The figure lay still on the floor, its clenched fist finally lowering. The room was once again filled with an eerie silence, the only sound the soft whisper of my own shallow breathing. The following morning I awoke to a room bathed in natural light, a stark contrast to the haunting darkness of the preceding night. The eerie presence, the chilling figure that had infiltrated my sanctuary, was conspicuously absent. The room had reverted to its usual tranquility. I scrutinized every inch of the floor, the very spot where the figure had lain, but found no trace, no hint of the previous night's terror. A wave of perplexity washed over me, leaving me feeling disturbed in its wake. This room had been the setting for an event that defied logic and understanding, but was it merely a memory? Doubt lingered as I grappled with the uncertainty of whether it was my brother pulling a prank or an inexplicable phenomenon that had chosen to visit me that night. Attempts to seek clarity from my family yielded no results. They had no recollection of the peculiar events. An air of confusion permeated the house, as I found myself alone in my recollections. The unsettling memory of the clenched fist and the peculiar figure remained vivid. It was as if the event had selectively etched itself into my consciousness, leaving everyone else oblivious. This discrepancy between my experience and their lack of awareness only deepened the mystery. The more I tried to unravel the mystery, the more tangled it became. It was like a puzzle missing crucial pieces, an incomplete picture that left more questions than answers. The question that gnawed at me relentlessly was whether the event was a manifestation of sleep paralysis or an otherworldly encounter. Having heard stories of sleep paralysis, I couldn't help but draw parallels. The inability to move, the overwhelming sense of dread, the perception of an intruder, all hallmarks of this sleep disorder. Yet, the distinct figure, the deliberate movements, and the peculiar dance between my defenses and the figure were elements that seemed outside the realm of sleep paralysis. On the other hand, the suggestion of an otherworldly encounter seemed as equally implausible. The logic in me wrestled with the idea, yet the extraordinary nature of the event defied mundane explanations. The lack of physical evidence further complicated the matter. The absence of any trace of the figure the following morning was baffling. Had it been a figment of my imagination, or had it left as mysteriously as it had appeared? To this day, the memory lingers, the memory etched in the recesses of my mind. The lingering mystery invites an exploration into the uncanny, the inexplicable, the strange. It leaves me to wonder if others have shared similar inexplicable experiences. Have they too been left grappling with unanswerable questions, their lives forever marked by an encounter with the unknown?